Very good morning, dear students. Today I am going to start my lecture for grade 11th, and we are starting chapter Landscape of the Soul. So by name you can understand landscape. So we have two type of pictures. One is in portrait form and second is in landscape. Since childhood we used to call it scenery, but now it is landscape with beautiful sceneries, pictures, trees, hut, everything. And of the soul, soul means your spirit which you feel from inside and you are making it. So here it is all about two art forms made by one is Chinese and one is European. So in this story, European art reproduce actual view how it is, and Chinese art, it is not a real landscape. It is all in all made by someone, and the second one which it make us understand what was inside the artist, and the same will be failing. So I need to tell you that it is written by Nathalie Troverer, and the chapter is all about how different the Chinese art form is from the European art form. I have already told you. And here the writer is using true stories, two stories to make a contrast and to tell us how European art and Chinese art is different from each other. So now we'll starting the story of this chapter. So here a painter named Wu Daozi, who lived in the 8th century and was assigned to decorate a palace wall by the Tang Emperor Xuanzong. It was his last painting. The painter hid his work behind the screen so the only emperor would see it. The emperor, upon looking at the painting, admired many things into that painting, like discovering forests, high mountains, waterfalls, floating clouds, men on hilly paths, and birds in the flight. The painter then made him look at the cave in the painting, which was at the foot of the mountain, and compared it with a living spirit. As the painter clapped his hands, the entrance of the cave opened. Like earlier we saw a serial, he used to say, Khulja Sim Sim, and the cave was opening. So here he need to clap to open it. And the after this, he let the emperor know how beautiful the inside of the cave was, and he asked him to show all this to him. The painter entered the cave, and the entrance was closed behind him. The emperor could not enter the cave, means painter entered, but emperor was not. As the emperor was greatly surprised to this, the painting vanished from the wall. After that, the painter was never seen again. So this was unusual. These stories played an important role in the classical education in China. Similarly, like the books of Confucius and Zhuangzi are full of such stories, as they help the master to help and guide his followers in the right direction. These stories were considered to be deeply revealing of the spirit, just like the art. There was another famous story in the contrast to the previous one. Earlier one, he clapped, he entered the cave and he was never seen. But now there is another story that is totally contrast to this, where the painter would not paint the eye of a dragon. He feared that the dragon would fly out from the painting. And it was one of the stories from many others which came from a medieval country in Western Europe. So during the 15th century in, you can say, Antwerp, a master blacksmith named Quentin Metis fall in love with the painter's daughter. So here a blacksmith was there, and blacksmith's daughter was fell in love with the painter. Since the father was not accepting their relationship because of his profession, the blacksmith sneaked into the painter's studio and painted a fly on his latest panel. Painting was so real that the master tried to hid the fly away. Means the blacksmith, when the father was not ready, the blacksmith painted like this. The father was not able to believe even. Before he realized that it was just a painting, he tried to fly out. The blacksmith was accepted into the studio as a trainee. So he thought that he will train him more. He married the painter's daughter and later became one of the famous painters of his age. The two stories that I have told just now are trying to illustrate the form of art. First art is means the way he wants to show. Second is it is so real, right? In Europe, the art is perfect and like an illusion which resembles something. In Asia, the art gives an essence of inner life and spirit. Means in Asia, the art is something else. Now, if you talk about the Chinese story, the artist reveals the true meaning of his work to the emperor, who rules over his territory but didn't know the way within. The emperor only saw the outer experience of the wall painting. The work was mysterious and Dao, which means something which has both path what the artist did. As the painting was gone, after the artist reached the caves, the motive was fulfilled. That some work is beyond material appearance, means something is different which cannot be explained. But the Chinese landscape painting is not made with real viewpoint, but it is the representation of the artist, thoughts of artist. Means whatever the artist is thinking, the artist will make the same thing in the painting. The Western painting in the Europe is a figurative art form. The European painting paints a landscape to show you a specific scene of the landscape, where the Chinese painter doesn't choose the real viewpoint. He wants to show what is inside him and he will make the same. You can enter the painting from any point and can travel anywhere where your thoughts are. Means it depends your likings and dislikings, your imagination. The Chinese artist wants you to travel by creating your own path and then come out in a relaxed movement. In China, this mode of seeing a painting is more enjoyable. A horizontal scroll is a form where one section of the painting is opened one by rolling it up to move on the other side. It creates a dimension which is not practiced in any other art form except this. It requires both mental and physical participation of the viewer. Means we need to be physically present. The Chinese painter wants you to enter his mind and see the painter from his thoughts. Means you have to use your mind, you have to think, you have to see what Chinese painter wants to show. The landscape created by Chinese artists is spiritual, inner, and of conceptual, or you can say abstract phase. So space that shows something else. But the Chinese concept of art is also expressed as Shen Shui, we call it, which also means mountain water. It is used together to represent the word landscape, because in landscape you are able to see water is coming from mountains. The two complementary poles of an image reflect the Taoist view. The mountain in the landscape is Yang, which means to reach vertically towards heaven, stable, warm and dry in the sun, that is already there in the landscape. Whereas the water is called Yin, which is receptive and feminine aspect of universal energy. Means one is hot and one is cool. Yang is active and masculine, an opposite of Yin. There is a third essential element, which is a middle void, which is the place where they interact in the landscape. Means in landscape, feminine is also there, masculine is also there, mountain is also there, sun is also there, and water is also there. So this middle void can be compared to pranayam, which means to breathe in, retain and then breathe out. We have to take in also and breathe out also. Here the suspension of the breath is the void in the meditation process. So it is an essential part, as nothing can happen without it. This is the important part to live, to breathe in and to breathe out. Hence, the white, unpainted space in Chinese landscape is equally important to that of European one. Here I am ending up my video. We'll meet you in the next. Thank you. Have a nice day.